Hey everyone, welcome back to the Florida Relocation Guide YouTube channel. I have a special episode for you. I've invited David Salkin on with me, as you can see right here. I'm gonna let him give you a quick summary of his background if you're not familiar. But he's an agent with us here at Sunshine State, and he has made the official statement that he believes that right now in 2023 in May, Esplanade Azario, the master plan gated community by Taylor Morrison, is the number one place you could build a new house right now in Southwest Florida. So we're kind of lighthearted, but what I want to do here is we're going to kind of go a yin and yang. Is I'm going to give all the reasons that it's not, and I want to let Dave, from his perspective of his background and everything, I want to let him tell the reason it is. And I think you can glean a lot of like long-term value. And if you're in the middle of a search right now, I think these translate across the board to a lot of places. So I think it would be an interesting take on a different way to look at new construction right now in Lakewood Ranch in Sarasota Metro. So Dave, why don't you give us a quick catch up of who you are, your background? I think that'll help give context to the conversation.
Okay, thank you, Adam, for having me on again. So for those of you who haven't heard me before, I'm Dave Salkin. I am a realtor with the Adam Hancock Group down here at the Sunshine State. I had escaped from the People's Republic of New Jersey a couple of years ago and now call myself a full-time Floridian, and I'm super, super happy to do that. I love where I live. Have embraced the Florida lifestyle. I am outside all the time. We have 300 beautiful sunny days a year. I'm a fisherman, scuba diver, spear fisherman, and I just could not be happier about where I am. So this episode is sort of tongue in cheek. Adam and I riffing back and forth about why I love where I live. Listen, if my budget was $3 or $4 million for the house, it's a different conversation. But if you're trying to stay, let's say 1.5 and under, and where are you going to pick that you were going to be tickled pink about where you live? For me, I think I landed in the right spot. I'll give Adam full credit for that because he told me what Esplanade Azario was a few years ago before I ever heard of it. And honestly, it's a great place to live. So we're going to go back and forth now and sort of play with the idea that I win.
Okay, so I'm going to go right elephant in the room, the low-hanging fruit. Esplanade Azario is 45 minutes one way from any beach. Why would I do it?
So first of all, I must drive faster than you because I can get there in about 35 minutes. But
Okay.
so if I'm going to Cortez Beach or Bradenton Beach, I can probably be there in, let's say, 35 to 40. I can be in Lido Beach in probably 40 to 45. So that's probably a realistic range. So living in New Jersey, you had X amount of nice days a year to get to the beach. There was a great sense of urgency that on a nice summer day, if you happened to be off and the weather was perfect, you were getting up at 6:30 in the morning and racing to the beach because, maybe you could find a free parking space instead of spending $40 before you paid to walk onto the beach, which was probably not that great anyway. And here, the parking is free, the beach is free. Oh, and the weather's nice 300 days a year. So the sense of urgency is gone. On a beach day, we go to the beach and we're there. We're going to hang out as much as we want to hang out. I like to fish and scuba dive and spearfish. So on those days, I'm going to be out on the boat and I'll be in the Gulf all day long. And those are amazing days. I love them. But I'm only doing that sometimes. So the idea of having to drive 45 minutes to the beach, but I get to live where I live, it's a good trade for me. I don't mind. When I lived in New Jersey, my beach was Manasquan, and I would go the back way, and I could get there in 25, 30 minutes from my house. So I've added 15 minutes or 10 minutes to my drive, but that was my drive anyway, more or less. I mean, not a big deal. And if I weigh that against picking where I chose to live in Esplanade, I'll take the extra 10 minutes in the car. And by the way, the 10 minutes in the car, I'm not sitting in smog. I am looking at palm trees and the water as I get closer to the beach. Anyway, it's a nice drive. It's not a big deal.
Fair enough. Well, answer me this then. So, okay, I'm fine with Lakewood Ranch, but Waterside is a lot closer to town than Esplanade Azario is. So why would I do Esplanade Azario if I could be south of University?
So these are things that you're going to weigh. And I mean, I certainly think that, let's say, Shoreview or Lake House Cove have some very nice homes. The lot premiums, they're getting 450 to 550 for a pretty small lot. So, I mean, to spend $500,000 on the lots down there, I thought was just a crazy amount of money. It's a beautiful view, and if you can afford it, God bless you. It's stunning. The lake there is gigantic. It's almost like having an ocean view, it's so big. It's not. It's a lake. It's a man-made lake. So, I mean, let's get a grip on reality here and say, am I going to spend $500,000 on a house that's $1.5 million? I mean, so it's just, for me, I didn't think the value proposition was as good. The other side of that is it takes me, I don't know, 13 minutes to drive from my house in Azario to the farmer's market on Sunday. So what? I mean, honestly, so what? It's really a nothing drive. I mean, you're not stuck in traffic. You're driving slow because the speed limits are slow, but so what? I pass cows. I mean, it's not a big deal. So, I mean, if I found a community that I loved at, near waterside, there are some nice ones down there. Listen, you've got, you've got Windward by Neil, you've got a Shore View by Pulte, you've got Lake House Cove by Homes by Town, and now you're going to have more options. If you've got the budget for it, you're going to have Wild Blue down there. And then you've got the new ones coming in right around the southern side of the lake. So there's plenty of options down there. But at the end of the day, I like my amenities. And I'm not a golfer, but it's a golf community, and it's spectacular to drive around just as you drive in the entrance. That's what sold me. The day that we were out house hunting here, I'd been to 10 different communities, then drove into the entrance at Esplanade Azario and just saw the entrance. And I was like, people live here? Because it was like driving into the Ritz-Carlton. And that's how I feel living there. I mean, the grounds are spectacular. It's beautiful.
So that's a good point. So I don't golf. Why
Me
do
either.
I would like to golf, but why am I going to pay all those fees if I don't golf? Why would I live in a golf community?
Okay, so funny you should mention it. So if I golfed, my fees, my HOA would be $618 a month. I don't golf. I don't have a golf deeded lot. My HOA is $350 a month. What do I get for my $350? Everything except golf. Right now I could pay to golf, but I don't golf, so I don't care. But I do have, they're in the process of finishing up their amenities. There's a lagoon pool with cabanas. There'll be live music on weekends. They'll have special events. There's a restaurant and bar that's under construction, a full gym with classes for things like, whether it's yoga or Pilates or anything else that you want to do to probably hurt yourself. There are tons of activities. You got 16 pickleball courts and tennis courts, and it's never ending the amount of stuff that you can do. It's really Club Med meets the Ritz-Carlton. Be as busy as you want, or don't do anything, just hang out at your house. But they give you everything for that $350, and the $350 includes my lawn maintenance, the mulching, the shrubbery, the lawn care, the cutting, like all of that stuff that I was paying at home for anyway. So now for the same amount of money, it's maintenance free, and I have the gym for free, and I have all the other stuff for free. So I think I come out way ahead on the HOA proposition.
So another question for you. You bought in 2021. Awesome for you, because it was a lot cheaper in 2021. You bought the Lazio, and I know what the base prices were then, but now in 2023, did you realize all the long-term equity and value already, or is there still room, in your opinion, for the Lazio and the Palazzo and the Roma and the Ibis to grow?
I think the long-term equity proposition is still really, really strong because it's a very unique product. I think, who are you going to compare Azario to in Lakewood Ranch? To me, you're only comparing it to places like the Lake Club or Wild Blue. That level of resort style living plus golf, which those two don't have, by the way. You could compare it maybe to Country Club or Country Club East, but I mean, older communities, but still beautiful. I mean, very, very nice. But I think for the HOA proposition, I think we're getting a great value. So I think long term, these home prices are only going to increase. And as a realtor, seeing the market there, I mean, I see them constantly going up. Right now, we're waiting for that center road to open up through the golf course. And I have several clients all waiting for those lots. Those lot premiums are going to be expensive. Why? Because everybody wants them. I mean, tons of people want a very finite amount of lots. So that's going to continue to drive the home prices. And as those prices go up, also the non-golf lots go up. It drives everything up. So I think in a very microeconomic sense of, what does Azario do in terms of the pricing of real estate in Lakewood Ranch, regardless of what's happening in other communities that are not as popular. Azario, the market is still extremely strong.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so talk to me about, you went through this very recently. Talk to me about build times. So it's 2023. I could buy a resale. I'm guessing more than I was because the market's fragile as far as like, will they drop prices? Will interest rates drop? And I'm going to sign a 15 to 18 month contract potentially, albeit without a price escalation clause. The builder
Right.
doesn't have recourse, but also I don't have control of what happens until month 16 of 18. So, how do I feel good about making that decision with a 20% deposit on a long build time without having very much recourse as far as versus buying a resale or waiting?
Okay, so I think I understand where you're going with the question, which is to sort of ask, what happens if I put $20,000, $200,000 down on $1 million home, and 16 months later the market has crashed, and now my home is underwater, and I'm screwed. Well, if that's your fear, then don't do it. If you're so concerned about that, me personally, I don't see that happening like ever around here. I just don't see it because the market, the demand remains so strong, regardless of what's happening in the rest of the country, regardless of what you're seeing in certain sections of Florida where they're maybe calming down a little bit. The most popular places in Lakewood Ranch are still the most popular places in Lakewood Ranch. But the build time, it's inconvenient. I mean, it's 12 to 15 months is probably what I would guess for most Esplanade Azario homes from this time you sign the contract to the time you move in. Mine was supposed to be, 12, 13, 14 months. It was 17 months. It took forever. It was painful as hell. You move in, and one day later, you forgot about all that. You're just so happy to be there, right? So you have to understand whether it's this community or any place else in Florida, your build times are probably going to be longer than you want them. There are some communities which build a lot of spec homes. Like if you're buying in Star Farms by D.R. Horton, they're not even releasing the home for sale until the trusses are up. So when they tell you that it's going to be 6 months to move in, it's 6 months to move in because they already know they're already halfway through it. You can buy homes there now and be in 30 days. I was just there with clients and they have a couple of homes that are like ready to go. So if you're in a hurry, there's ways to address it and still get new construction. But I think generally speaking, when you're building a house from scratch, it generally takes at least a year. I think the worst is over. There's still the labor issue. The trades are still really busy. I mean, half of them are pulled down to Fort Myers and Sanibel trying to rebuild those areas damaged from Ian. So there's a labor competition, but the supply chain issues I think are much better. And so we're not hung up on things like windows and trusses and air conditioning units. I mean, I think we're able to build a home now. So I think, and this is a conversation I have with clients. They're like, I'm not ready to retire and move, for another 18 months to 2 years. And I'm like, okay, then you should be looking now, because if you're not thinking about moving for 18 months, you're at 12 to 15 right now. And how long is it going to take you to find your perfect house? So maybe it's worth it even to consider moving now to get today's price, because quite frankly, I don't know that in 3 months or 6 months, it's going to be less expensive. I think the homes that everybody seems to want, I think they're going to be more expensive. That's how I'm betting. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion. I'm just one guy, but I'm just not seeing it slowing down in the most popular places in Lakewood Ranch.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I mean, I think you got to take a guess at some point, and the builder's taking a guess too. So you got to your your it's quality of life versus risk mitigation and all that kind of stuff. So let me ask you one more.
And
You
there's
know,
another thing too, Adam, let me interrupt you for 1 second,
yeah,
which is, let's say you delay another year. If you're coming from New Jersey or New York or California and you have a nice salary, are you giving 10% of that away to your state? Because what's it going to cost you to wait just in your state income tax versus an income tax free state? Also, the quality of life, just to get down here earlier to enjoy what's here. If you can work from home, why not just come sooner? I mean, I don't think anybody's going to regret it.
yep, no, good point. So okay, so from your experience, your point of view is interesting because I'm from here. I'm used to these kind of homes. You came from a bigger house. A lot of people's scenario, basement. You're downsizing, and
Yes.
then you went to a house that's 23, 2,400 square feet. So talk. on a builder that's not, Taylor Morrison offers a lot of options, but they're not a semi-custom builder. They're not a custom builder. They're not going to move walls. You're going to work within the plan. How hard was it to satiate the need at Esplanade Azario on what they already offered? You had to pick one of the lanes. How many options did you feel like you had? Was it tricky to navigate? Did you feel like the upgrades for structural or design were worth it? Because I think the Taylor Morrison, the Neals, the MIs, the Madamies, those are the commonality of the average buyer. So how hard was that for you to navigate being a non-custom home or a non-resale remodel?
Honestly, it's not that hard. And having done like dozens of these builds now with clients, like the checklist of the things that you should do to me is blatantly obvious. And when I discuss this with my clients, everybody kind of picks the same stuff. Like you're building a Lazio or a Palazzo. Yes, you're going to do the casual dining extension and bump out the back of the house. Everyone's going to do that every single time. It makes a huge difference. Are you going to do the lanai extension? 100% you are, because you're going to live there. That's a room in your house that's not even considered in the square footage, but that's where you spend all your time. So yeah, you're going to take that opportunity to bump out that lanai. Bay windows, of course you're going to do the bay windows. It gives you more light in the room. It adds an extra window, makes the room bigger and brighter and just happier. Like doing the ceilings. I'm going to do a 10-foot ceiling. You're going to make the ceiling taller. You're going to add the soffits and the just drew a blank, Adam. The tray ceilings. Thank you. Because the taller ceiling makes even a small floor plan feel grander.
Yep.
8-foot doors instead of the normal size, six, what are they, 6'9", whatever that is. So there are certain structurals that you're going to do on your floor plan, which even if they're going to add, I'll make up a number and say $50,000 to the home, these are things that would be almost impossible, if not impossible, to do later. So yes, you're going to do that and just consider it the price of the base price of the home. And what you're going to end up with is, I think, a beautiful home on these models. I mean, some of these floor plans are really, really nice. And back to your point about downsizing, right? So 34 square foot home with a 1,200 square foot finished basement. Coming here, I remember having these panicked conversations with my wife talking about, are we going to be happy? Is this going to be too small? And we were sitting at home having this conversation, laughing because, like I said, when was the last time you were in like the living room or the dining room? That whole half of the house, which is a pretty big, pretty big rooms. We used them in Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like you were never in that part of the house.
Yeah.
So the home here, yes, it's smaller, but you use all of that space. The word den has been replaced with gathering room. So now you have a kitchen gathering room, which is all an open floor plan on new construction. It's bright. It's big enough for entertaining. I mean, it really makes sense, the flow of the home. When you walk into most of these open floor plans, your first thing that you're looking at is through the sliders into the beautiful backyard, right? So maybe you got a pool, a spa, and a cage out there, and that's kind of what you see. That's your visual is very, very nice walking into the house. So I think even though the homes are smaller, with lots of natural daylight and a taller ceiling, you can make even a small space feel as big as it needs to be. And especially if you're empty nesters or you just don't have kids or whatever, how much home do you really need? I think, for us, that the Lazio, the way we finished it up, is about 2,500 square feet. I don't really think I need anything bigger. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think from my experience, like 99% of people, I'd agree. I mean, I think for the most part, the custom is overkill. I think the custom bleeds into the scenario a lot more on needing to do custom because of where you're getting the house. That is the option. Urban infill, new construction, existing neighborhood, or particular neighborhoods where you really want that neighborhood or that builder. But there's specialty needs people have had with like speakers or audio fanatics. But other than that, I thought most people, the builders know. Just think about how many examples the builder has of what to do. So they know, they do what everybody wants. The majority of people wants. They have more examples than anyone of us would in isolation. So
And think about when you're out with clients too, like they offer 20 floor plans. People pick the same 3. I mean,
100%.
everybody wants the same stuff, right?
And that's why those models are on site. So, okay, cool. I hope you guys enjoyed that little take. I mean, I thought it was an interesting concept because I do think you can make an argument in a seemingly biased way, but in a legitimate economics way where you can glean a lot of stuff about other neighborhoods from following that argument about one individual one like this that kind of bleeds through all of Southwest Florida. So hope you guys enjoyed that. This was a preview of a new podcast I just launched called Market Smart. a lot of really interesting conversations. I'm going to link it right here. It's on my Sunshine State Company channel. It's going to be a lot of conversations, but a lot of arguably more valuable conversations you can get into, and very niche topics and deep topics that you're probably going through when it comes to relocation that are really hard to get into in just a talking head format. So please check that out. We're going to be doing a lot of volume, a lot of different faces, and I think that's going to be really, really valuable stuff. I'm
And
most excited about that versus anything I've done recently.
and if I just interject
Yep.
one thing, and that is like, if you're online watching us from home, there's a ton of data. You can Google anything. You can get the statistics. You can get the Zillow prices. I mean, you can do a lot of this on your own. What you don't get is someone's opinion who actually has gone through this, who lives it every day. I think that's the advantage of working with a realtor in the first place, is that you can ask a question and get an opinion. And it's just my opinion, but if you didn't need an opinion, you could just get data, right? And the data is a different set of information. This is information that for my clients, this is the stuff they want to know. They're going to ask me specific questions that they need boots on the ground for that. And I think that's the advantage of working with us.
Yeah, so if you enjoy any of this kind of content, I'm going to keep doing my normal stuff, a lot of economics, analytics-based stuff on the Florida Relo. But please check that out if you want to also kind of experience some of that content. Thank you so much for watching again. Please subscribe if you're enjoying it. Any real estate assistance at all, we have an unbelievable team. We probably have any walk of life you're from, any state you're from, any part of your search you're in. We probably have a mirror of that already on the team that's maybe 2 or 3 years ahead of you. So please reach out to the team. We would love to assist in any way we can. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you on the next one.